Now, it'd be extremely unfair to state that each and every one of these very much evident blunders completely takes you out of the entire, sometimes iconic, cinematic experience. However, there's still no denying that once you do spot the following glaring continuity mistakes, your days of innocently overlooking them whenever you return for a rewatch will be well and truly over. So I am Gareth here from WhatCulture.com, and here are 8 more movie mistakes you can never unsee. Number 8, an Apple Watch pops up before its release, fighting with my family. As fun as it was for any WWE fan to take in the real-life story of Paige on the big screen, it was still pretty hard to get through 2019's enjoyable Fighting with My Family ride without spotting the numerous weird ways the flick altered history. For example, during Paige's eventual big showdown with AJ Lee towards the end of the movie, the entire Raw stage and ring design and even the company logo are the ones that were used a few years on from that iconic 2014 in-ring moment. However, there was another far less obvious error that popped up during that aforementioned climactic championship-winning conclusion that just about everyone watching on likely missed. With the production showing up at a WWE Raw taping in February 2017 to shoot the match between Florence Pugh's Paige and Zelina Vega's Lee, which explains why the updated stage was bizarrely present during Paige's big moment set 3 years earlier, someone clearly felt it would be a good idea to use footage of someone in the crowd gasping at a superplex whilst wearing an Apple Watch. Said tech wasn't actually officially released until April 2015, meaning that either this woman was a damn time traveler, or someone clearly wasn't worried about anachronisms when piecing together this fighting climax. Number 7, Dr. Hammond's magical towel, Jurassic Park. That's right, not only was Dr. John Hammond responsible for bringing dinosaurs back to life, he was also a part-time magician. Keep a close eye on the towel Hammond can be seen using when he's drying off a glass during his chat with Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler early on in Jurassic Park. As the InGen CEO lets the two know about his exciting island, the towel he's seen using on said glass is very much white, while Steven Spielberg kept everyone in a wide shot. However, when the shot then switches to one focusing on Hammond, he's magically found rubbing the cup with the same pink towel he was holding a bottle of champagne in earlier. Rather than being another Hammond miracle though, this was likely just a case of the classic film's continuity person being too busy admiring the great Richard Attenborough's mesmerizing performance to catch this quick mistake. And they weren't the only one, to be fair, with the majority of Jurassic lovers no doubt failing to catch this strange towel switch after spending many an afternoon watching the Dino Thriller. Number 6, is that a Cowboy Pirate? Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. With so many folks working their asses off screen in order to ensure each and every moment on camera looks and sounds exactly how their director wants it to, a few crew members accidentally popping into frame on occasion is about as inevitable as Captain Jack Sparrow downing a bottle of rum. And what do you know? After managing to get through an entire feature without even one rogue part of the filmmaking crew unintentionally wiggling into a scene, the very last scene of Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl contained one hilarious cameo. After Jack demands his crew of pirate lads and lasses to get back to work late on, one of said scabrous dogs suddenly rushing to their post only went and revealed what looked like a strange cowboy pirate enjoying the ocean view. Gore Verbinski did his best to divert attention away from the accidental appearance by swiftly cutting to a shot of more pirates banging into one another on the ship, but once you spot the Pearl's unexpected cowboy crew member over Johnny Depp's shoulder, it's pretty difficult to unsee them. Number 5, a blood squib can be seen clearly during a murder. Heat. An awful lot of blood is shed throughout Michael Mann's gripping 1995 crime thriller Heat. And if you ever wanted to know exactly how the visual of a character being violently gunned down is achieved during the making of this sort of bloody drama, then a blink and you'll miss it flaw in this particular flick had an answer for you. As Robert De Niro's Neil McCauley closes in on William Fichtner's Roger Van Zant casually watching TV at home, focus on his leg in the wake of a few bullets being pumped into his torso by the professional thief. There you'll spot what appears to be a blood squib cord going up his pants as he tumbles over a table, with this practical effect likely triggered by the person on the end of said cord bursting some fake blood packets as the actor is pretend blasted during the sequence. And just like that, you'll never be able to rewatch this shocking and rather brutal death without your eyes being drawn to that just about noticeable wire of fake death. Number 4, did you spot Toni Collette's wig lace? Hereditary. The majority of movie fans likely spent the duration of Ari Aster's unsettling 2018 slice of horror known as Hereditary hiding behind their popcorn. I know I did. So it makes sense that most folks weren't quick to spot one rather tiny mistake on show during this tale of a family being terrorized by a demonic entity. As Toni Collette's Annie Graham works on one of her miniatures about halfway through the flick, a close-up of the grieving mother here reveals a pretty remarkable detail. Though you'd never know from looking at her character's authentic-looking hair throughout the picture, Collette was actually seemingly wearing a wig, with the piece's lace being just about visible in the top corner of the frame as she works on a bedroom. As noted by one Reddit user on a Movie Mistakes post about the flaw, this sort of lace would usually be covered by makeup, but with Annie not exactly wearing a ton of the stuff during the flick, covering her in foundation may have likely seemed a bit strange for this particular shot. And though the call was probably made to simply get rid of it in post, someone clearly forgot. And now you will never forget this mistake if you choose to put yourself through the horror again. Number 3. Brad Pitt's teleporting cigarette, Babylon. This list has already covered time-traveling watches and magically changing towels, but it's now time to focus on an object that appears to bizarrely teleport in between shots during last year's Babylon. After being brought home by Manny in the wake of a particularly chaotic party, a smashed Jack Conrad chooses to fire up a cigarette whilst belting out some operatic notes. As you do. But if you watch that smoke very closely as Brad Pitt's famous leading man of the 20s drunkenly explains to his new pal why he wanted to redefine the form, something quite peculiar goes down. Conrad's cigarette is very much sat in his mouth as he takes his clothes out of Manny's hands and dumps them on the floor to talk about the average person heading off to the cinema. But then as the shot switches to one from behind Pitt, said ciggy randomly shows up in his left hand out of the blue. It then swiftly returns to Jack's gob as the scene cuts back to a shot of his intoxicated face. Admittedly, with this being the same flick that boasted crapping elephants and Margot Robbie taking on a snake, it's not too hard to see why most folks didn't notice this brief continuity oversight. But it will now forever be staring you in the face during your returns to this 3-hour shindig. Number 2, were they even trying to hide the camera? Bad Boys. There's a random crew member inadvertently sneaking into frame for a moment, and then there's your damn cameraman and said piece of anything but inconspicuous equipment blatantly sitting in the middle of a cinematic brawl. And that's exactly what occurred during 1983's crime drama Bad Boys, as Sean Penn's Mick O'Brien collided with Zay Morales' Paco Moreno towards the end of the flick, with the team seemingly trying to capture the pair's gritty slugfest from 2 different angles at the same time. A quick pause of the violence as the lads attempt to grab a nearby shiv reveals an absolutely unforgivable error. Instead of trying to disguise the fact they were using 2 cameras at the same time to capture this bloody battle, one of said operators is blatantly visible on one knee in the crowd for a few seconds. Perhaps director Rick Rosenthal just assumed folks would be too focused on all the dramatic grappling and roaring going on in the scene to spot this amusing camera cameo. However, once your eye is drawn to that piece of kit and the people carefully trying to record the mayhem, it's impossible to watch this bizarre skirmish the same way again. Number 1, a sword falls out before Aragorn and co. go and look for their friends, the Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers. You'd like to think that the mighty riders of Rohan knew a thing or two about how to properly store their equipment when riding into battle against various orcs, goblins, and Uruk-hai. However, as revealed in a brief but still rather surreal moment during the Two Towers, it appears that even the great Eomer suffers the odd sword mishap from time to time. Not long after the exiled Rohirrim surround Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas, and eventually inform them that their hobbit pals had likely been killed recently, Eomer offers the gang a pair of horses and advises the lads to still go and look for their probably dead mates. Lovely stuff. And it's during this somewhat gloomy moment that the Horsemaster's blade appears to gradually slip out of its scabbard as the camera cuts to a concerned looking rightful King of Gondor. This sort of sudden blunder is incredibly easy to miss even on the biggest of screens, with the camera operator doing their best to move rapidly up to Carl Urban's face before the blade fully slips out of its sheath. But even before then, it's painfully clear and difficult to unsee, once you take the time to focus on his weapon, that the sword was strangely already 80% hanging out of its holder as he trotted up to the Fellowship heroes. And now you have another excuse to go and fire up the Lord of the Rings trilogy for the 300th time, folks. You are welcome! And that's our list. Know of any other movie mistakes people will never unsee? Well, let us know all about them in the comments section right down below, and don't forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button while you're down there. Also, if you like this sort of stuff, then please head on over to whatculture.com and find some more fantastic articles just like the one this video you're watching right this second is based on. I've been Gareth from whatculture.com. Cheers for watching this video that you will never unsee today, and hopefully we'll see you very, very soon. Bye bye!